Live. Where's Randall? Ah, let's start. Hey, so I'm Larry Young, as you know. Welcome to DORK COURT. We have a new feature now. Randall finally watched something. So a good Matt Shivers is already here. Like, you bet your ass I set an alarm for this one. I think that's funny because Sagasag's probably waiting at his desk and saying, "Yeah, I'll see if they show up," because Larry and Mark and Steve show up like 5 after, 10 after, whenever they feel like it. Anyway, let's get going. Huh? Randall watched Buckaroo Banzai, one of the best movies ever made. Certainly one of the best movies of the 20th century, and in fact, since the invention of film. So here we go. Randall Armstrong, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We should tell the kids Randall has just got back from the dentist, so technically he's on drugs. So this ought to be good.
It's just the anesthesia around the mouth. Like it's such a weird feeling.
Yeah. No, and that's why you should never go to the dentist and just wait for your teeth to fall out. And just have speaking of drugs, like some kind of fentanyl enabled. What's the one that fucks with your teeth? I'm not a giant drug guy anymore.
Novocaine? Is it Novocaine?
No. There's some street drug that, like, I forget what it is.
Oh, meth?
Meth, yes, of course, meth. I'm like, it was before fentanyl knocked it off the top rung. Yeah, meth. Like, so yeah, just let your teeth go meth. That's all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's Chris and Matt's like, you're not drooling, so that's good. All right, well let's not waste anybody's time. We're here because Randall Armstrong finally watched Buckaroo Banzai. So what do you think? Everybody knows you're a nerd. Everybody knows that you understand, like, Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze, and his, like, two-fisted guy. So, like, Buckaroo Banzai is clearly like a 1980s updated version of, like, the cool guy and his buddies. Yeah, kind of like us, right? And the loose association of like-minded individuals. We just don't have a big tour bus with our logo on the side.
Right.
I have some questions for you. If you want to start, or do you want to give us your first impressions? Like,
first impression, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I liked it. A part of me, I'm split in the middle, because a part of me is like, I'm older now, so, like, if I were younger, would I have liked the movie?
Just tell us, like, what do you think of the film itself, right? Like, what's the vibe? You liked it.
No.
Why? Did you like it like a cult movie? Did you like it like a blockbuster? Did you like
probably like a cult movie. I'd say I liked it like a cult movie. I think it's what I like about it is, like, they're being quirky, they're being bold, they're mixing a lot of things. They're trying to do a lot in that movie. And but overall, my favorite thing about the movie was just the cast. Like, I like the ensemble. Again, this is why, like, if I were younger, like, when I was younger, the only Jeff Goldblum movie I had seen was Jurassic Park. So, like, I don't think I would have appreciated Jeff Goldblum as much when I was younger versus now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I love the quirkiness of it. And I will say this, for the longest time, like, I like Peter Weller, but there's not very many movies I like him in. It's always been RoboCop for me, Okay. And so when I saw him in this, I really liked him in this movie. Like, I was just like, I'm not a huge Peter Weller fan, but I do appreciate him. And then when I saw him in this movie, I liked his delivery. He had some great lines. The way he carried himself, like, he's the leader of the group, right? He's supposed to be like this experienced, smart, like, reliable guy. And I mean, there's like maybe only one or two things in the movie I wasn't crazy about. But overall, I liked the movie.
Do you want to lead with that? Like, here's the two dumb things I didn't like.
I don't think that's dumb. I just didn't personally, like, enjoy it.
Yeah, yes. Tell us what it is.
I mean, I get that it's cool that he has a band. I've never been the type of person, like, I love music. I enjoy bands, but the whole mentality of like wanting to be a rock star, wanting to be like, the lead in the band. I never had that ambition. I never been like really into that. I was always more like, I want to, I preferred film, television, acting. I always preferred that over music. And so like, when he's up there and he's performing the song, the guys are performing, that was kind of like the one thing that I was just like, like you could literally, in my opinion, I get they're a band. So like, if they're a band, they have to perform, just to show that, they can perform. But at the same time, I'm just like, I could have lived without it,
Yeah,
but
I don't see why though.
yeah,
I'm not the biggest music guy ever, like at all.
yeah,
I don't care. I have like maybe 300 songs on my phone. It doesn't matter. It's not a thing. But
yeah.
I love movie soundtracks, right?
Soundtrack is
So
good.
the reason the band scene is there is because, I mean, you could be saying the same thing about, did you ever want to be a neuroscientist? Because
Right.
there's only one scene where he's singing, and
Yeah.
there's only but you have to show they have a van that they get around in, and you have to
Right.
explain that, right? So to the
But-
normal person, you can't go, here's my hard rocking, two-fisted, alien punching, guys that I've just collected around me. You just go, no, that's the band.
But
Right?
wouldn't it have been funny though? Like they're in the band, they're getting around in the in the bus, but you never see them perform. Like a part of me is almost like that would have been hilarious, because like people are like, these guys never perform.
But then you just have you're asking the audience to take your word for the 3-paragraph crawl in the beginning,
Right.
where he's a hard rocking neuroscientist, martial artist. And plus, you watched it on Tubi, right?
I did.
That was the theatrical cut. So the version that most people who bought the DVD or whatever are into is like, it's not really a director's cut. They just put in there's
Extended.
a whole like beginning scene that takes place in the 30s that shows Buckaroo as a kid and and what happens to his dad in the first jet car. So when you cut to the credit scene in the theatrical cut where he's getting into the jet car and you can't really see his face,
yeah,
that's like the culmination of his father's dream, not his, right?
got it.
So Jamie Lee Curtis is his mom too, which is just amazing.
Wow.
Speaking of the cast, and so you get the there. I really think that scene needed to be in the theatrical cut because you get the idea that the jet car thing is just part of his family history, right? And that being a rock star is just part of his family history, and shooting cowboy two guns, part of his family history. Except it's from his Japanese dad, who was in love with the Old West, right? So if you don't have a little scene, like, first of all, that scene of him singing, it has nothing to do with him singing. It's all about introducing Penny Pretty as his former. You know what I mean? It's like, if you just think, oh, I could have gone without that music scene, I'm like, what do you replace it with? Because you need that scene is doing a lot. It's not just going, oh, look, they're the band. Oh, look, there's brass in a rockabilly thing in 1984.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what was the other thing you didn't like? Didn't like the music.
So I mean, that was pretty much it. Like I think like a part of me, like just looking at the cover, a part of me thought like there would have been, I think there was big action. There was big action in the movie, right? But it was like at the end. So I felt like, like in the middle of the movie, like the pacing kind of just slowed down for me a little bit.
So you remember this is 1984, right?
I know.
What kind of big action is there in Ghostbusters, right? What kind of big action is there in Star Trek Wrath of Khan? There's one thing, right?
It's all in the end. It's all in the end,
right?
yeah.
It's all at the end, right?
Yeah.
That's how it was in 1984. But I would make the argument there's action fucking all over that. He steals the motorcycle at the motorcycle thing. He gets ionized. He's talking to I don't know. There's no action. You kids.
No, I didn't say no action. I'm saying big action.
Well, yeah, but cult movies, do cult movies usually have big action?
Well, I mean, I think wasn't like Terminator kind of considered a cult movie
in 1984? Not to my friends. We all saw it 1,000 times. I mean, I guess I don't know. When I was in 1984, I was 21, right? Yeah. So we didn't have the access to like what other people are thinking, like everybody has now.
Yeah,
We would just read about it in Starlog, and Starlog made Terminator sound like the coolest fucking thing ever.
Oh,
And
sure.
it made Buckaroo Banzai sound like the coolest fucking thing ever. Like the interviews with Earl Mac Rock, it's like it's a whole world in his head, and he
Yeah.
would tell you everything. And the way they did that movie, it's like I get it. This is like probably the third adventure those guys have had, right? But
Right.
it's the only one we saw. Anyway, so preconceived notions you had are like you don't like music in movies as a rule anyway. You said like
I mean,
diegetic
it
music.
depends on how they do it. It depends on how they do
Yeah.
it. You know, like, you know,
Did you
if
have
you have,
any thoughts about this movie before you saw it?
I had
Except
zero
for,
thoughts. I had
except for
zero.
like,
Yeah, like
man, Larry won't shut up about this movie.
no. I mean, like, all the only thoughts I had on the movie before watching it was just always hearing amongst friends and people saying, "Oh, it's a fun watch," which it was, and you know, like it's a cool movie to check out. You know, it's it's an '80s film. You know, it's we love a lot of the movies that came out in the '80s, so that's why like some friends of mine, they'd be like, oh man, you've seen all these great movies, but you haven't seen Buckaroo Banzai, dude. You got to check it out, and so that's why this is the biggest reason why I'm glad we're doing this, because this finally pushed me to sit down and watch the movie.
Oh, that's
Plus,
cool.
I mean, I'm the type of person, like, I'm very old school with movies. Like, I still love going to the movie theater.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will literally ignore my phone, which is very hard for me to do nowadays. But if I'm in a movie theater, my brain is like, no, you paid money to see this movie. You're going to give it your 100% attention. You're going to sit down. You're going to watch it. You're going to absorb it. And then you're going to enjoy it, And so that's the problem I had with Buckaroo was I was very exhausted. So I had only watched like 2/3 of the movie last night. And then I watched the rest of it right before we started this video. And plus it had commercials, so it's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, not being able to like just watch the movie straight through and like really absorb it. But I'm sure I'm gonna, rewatch it again. I definitely want to watch the, like what you were saying, the
Yeah.
extended cut.
Well, I
Like,
couldn't. I was gonna flow you a copy of the Blu-ray because it's got a cool the Kevin Smith sizzle reel that they when he was gonna do Buckaroo Banzai. What was it was a TV show for Fox,
yeah.
and it was called Ancient New Something in Ancient Mysteries or something like I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, so when I heard he was working on that, like,
Yeah.
in my mind already, I was like, well, I got to watch the original before I watch the TV show.
Is the sizzle reel is all like CG, but like CG from the early 90s. So
Okay.
it's got that Babylon 5 look to it, but it's
Nice.
fantastic. There'll be there's like a pan across a field and it's like potatoes growing, and you're like, what the fuck? And as they get closer, there's wires stuck in it. So you know that thing where like a couple of wires in a potato will run a clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all these wires run from every potato into this like giant antenna that
Yeah.
like shoots a thing, and it knocks the space shuttle out of the sky. It's coming in kind of like crippled, but the jet car comes in and like acts as the front landing gear for the space shuttle, kind of catches the whole shuttle on the back and drives it away safely. All this cool shit that is they're pitching it like, here's the kind of shit that happens to Buckaroo,
Yeah.
Like don't worry about like the whole story that allowed us to get here. It's like the purest sizzle reel ever. It's like 100% sizzle because there's no actors. So the only guy associated with it is Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because they hadn't really figured the rights out yet.
You're right.
Another thing, like this happened to Max Headroom, that like in the 80s, they were all full of cocaine and watching Wall Street or whatever. And so everybody was like, ABC bought Lorimar Productions, but then it got folded into Paramount. And then, but somebody shaved this bit off because they were doing a movie for Mel Gibson, and then it's like, well, who owns Buckaroo Banzai? And it's like, well,
nobody knows.
We don't know yet. But they figured it out because the reason that Across the Eighth Dimension sounds like we're in the middle of a Buckaroo thing is because the writer Earl Mac Rock did this giant treatment that's like Buckaroo and the lepers from Saturn. It's like got 10 or 12 like fully fleshed out ideas, like 80 pages per thing, which
Oh
is,
wow.
and so they liked the Lectroid one and like, let's develop this. So that's kind of what got the courts to see it Earl Mac Rock's way, is that like, Buckaroo came from a bigger thing.
Yeah.
So like all these guys who think they own the movie, okay, well you can own Across the Eighth Dimension, but all the characters, all the situations, and the Bonsai Institute, and fucking
Yeah.
everything is part of a bigger deal that you don't own.
I'm
And
sure
so,
I'm sure the mentality also is like maybe he was supposed to be like an 80s like modern like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers type character.
yeah, I mean, if you mean like a pulpy kind of guy, but not
Yeah.
not the space sort. Yeah, he's more like Doc Savage, an '80s Doc Savage,
Yeah.
where his shirt's not all ripped, his collar's popped,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
He's not super muscular, but he
Yeah,
can
no,
fight.
man, I love. So yeah, I got so many questions for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're you kind of answered this question. This is actually from Walker. So Walker was saying, "Well, man, doesn't he work in a comic store?" I'm like, "Yeah," and because I've told him a million. He actually has this awesome pitch for a comic store based comedy, which this kid just slays me, just based on shit that I told him that happened at the Wuxtree or Comics Experience or That's Entertainment, which are the 3 stores I worked at. There's
Oh,
always
nice.
there's always crazy shit that happens at a comic store.
There's quirky people.
So he knows that you can have like a 3-hour conversation about if Nick Fury could really beat Batman in a fight.
Right, right.
And like and people be hot about it, and you can't talk anymore, and your kids got married, but you don't approve of it because his father thinks Nick Fury would win against Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That so basically his thing was like, how could you be unaware of Buckaroo Banzai? But you kind of talked about that. It's just that it's not being unaware of it. It's just that there's only so much time in the day, and
Yeah.
and
I mean,
basically because this is funny. This is Walker's question. Is like the answer to all of these things is it's basically because you didn't have me as a dad. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that we spent the coronavirus watching everything, all my favorite movies. And, it's like, okay, you need to know this, catching up.
Yeah.
So
Just to
basically,
give
you
you an
just
idea
live with
of
it.
what my dad was like. My dad was more he always understood, like, he saw I had a passion for comics and he supported it, but he wasn't into it, his passion, his hobby was sports, baseball. So like my brother and him shared that passion together. But like, I had memories where like I would watch episodes of Smallville with my dad,
That's
and
cool.
so like, we had some good moments, but like he understood, and like he just, he helped me get into my comic book,
Yeah.
habit, and collecting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
but like when it came to movies, when I was 5, I remember seeing a trailer for the 1989 Batman film, and I was like telling my dad,
And
like,
you were
"Oh,
5, huh? Just give me a minute.
yeah, 5, maybe 6,
Yeah.
because I was
Well,
born in '83, and the movie came out in '89. So yeah, I was 5. I probably was
yeah.
turning 6 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my dad I really wanted to see that movie, and my dad wasn't big to going to movie theaters, and so I didn't see it in theater. But he bought me the VHS tape, and I watched it so many times.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and my brother was the one that got me into like going to the movie theaters. Like when Jurassic Park came out, my brother was like, "You got to see Jurassic Park. Let's go."
Real dinosaurs.
Yeah, when they re-released Star Wars, the special edition in the '90s, my brother was like, "You got to go see these." So
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to my brother for that. Like he helped me build my
Yeah,
love
that's
of
cool.
cinema.
My dad was just like that. Like he had no use for pop culture whatsoever.
Yeah,
But and he didn't like movies or TV shows or as a rule. Just rather watch sports like your dad.
yeah.
But I gotta say, he took me to Godzilla versus the Smog Monster in 1973.
Oh,
We went
nice.
to King Kong in '76, and then I think by that, and then I was old enough to go with my friends and shit places. So,
Yeah,
but I always thought that was awesome. Like the 2 most nerdiest movies of the time that you could get into. My dad was just like, "Yeah, this is great," and like I can't explain it. He liked The Godfather and he liked Stripes too. It was like
Oh yeah, yeah.
like 4 movies because he was in the army. He was like, yeah, that's the army I was in, because he was a private, but he drove for a major, so he got out of like literally everything that you have to do in the army, because he's the guy the major might have to go somewhere. So I got to sit here with a Jeep and talk to the girls as they go by.
Nice.
Anyway, Buckaroo. Which character stood out most?
Perfect Tommy.
Oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
I don't know what it is. I've always been intrigued by the number 2 guy. So like,
but that's interesting. You think Perfect Tommy's number 2, huh?
Yeah, I really do. Just the way he carried himself and the way he appeared in scenes and like the way he interacted with Buckaroo. I just got this impression like Buckaroo would be like, if something happened to me, Perfect Tommy here is going to take over.
And you know why though, right? He's not number 2, but you know why you think that?
Why?
Because he's perfect. Like that's the brilliance of that character.
Yeah.
Kind of a trick question, like which character stood out the most, is kind of a trick question, because that screenplay gives every single character, even like behind the scenes character, I was almost like guys with like kind of off camera, and like voiceover guys going, like when Buckaroo steals the motorcycle, there's just some guy off camera going, "Hey, that's Buckaroo Banzai," and I'm like, that story, that guy's story,
Yeah. And
anyway.
I think I love animation, and so I enjoy voice actors, and so Carl Lumley is in it.
Yeah.
And he voices John Jones, Martian Manhunter, and Justice League. And so to see him, and then of course you have Clancy Brown, who voices Lex Luthor. So to see the 2 of those guys in this 80s movie, many years before Justice League was even created or Superman the Animated Series was created, so I just think like I love like little cool things like that, like how people can work together on one project and then they come right around and end up working on another project in the future. One example is I love spoof movies, and so the one with Val Kilmer,
Top Secret,
yeah. Was it is it Alfred Goh, who he played?
However you pronounce it.
Yeah,
I always thought it was Goff.
Oh no, Mike. Oh yeah, Michael. It's Michael Goff, I think. Yeah. He played as a scientist.
And Alfred. That's an easy mistake to make, right?
Yeah. And he played Alfred, and so to see the 2 of them working together on Batman Forever, but like many years ago, they were on that spoof movie together. It's just like getting to work together again.
That's cool. The one I love the most is Mrs. Johnson. Did you even catch her when they go to the back to the Institute? They meet Reno, Reno, Nevada. Isn't that a great name for a character? Of course. Of course, that's his name. They go and meet Reno, and there's dang, I can't believe I'm forgetting who's on the thing, but they're like, oh yeah, he's like, I gotta see, when John Parker comes and goes, I gotta see Buckaroo, and he's like, yeah, pal, everybody needs to see Buckaroo. Like that's the Banzai Institute for Genetic Engineering and Research. So the lady that opens the door and has like she's got a shirt with Japanese characters on it, and she tells everyone what's happening. Where's Penny? Tells them like that, all this blah blah blah. That's Mrs. Johnson, and she has like 1 or 2 lines. Yeah. But in the paperback, which I read 9,000 times when I was a kid.
Nice.
There was a I don't know if he was a Blue Blazer regular, like his street team guys, or if he really was in the Hong Kong Cavaliers. I don't remember, but it was like somebody Johnson, and they got married, and he got killed like 3 weeks later. And they didn't know what to do with his new bride, so they just made her in charge of everything. Like, I think that's like, there's no reason to even come up with that except to make every single character a living human being.
Yeah.
Right? And
everybody matters.
You can do that for every fucking character in that movie, down to like Scooter Lindley and his dad. The guys at the end, they just like need a helicopter, and like, how do we do this? It's not really a Deus Ex Machina, because that you've set up that everybody knows Buckaroo, right? He's like the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
famous guy in the world if he was also Batman, right?
right. Yeah, no, I love like when the guy's talking to the president, and he's like, if that guy wasn't Buckaroo Banzai, I'd say that guy
Yeah.
is crazy or something like that, and
I
it just
love
gets
him. That's all great. Just with a oh yeah, Murtaugh's son in Lethal Weapon. Chris says that's 100% true. Scooter, yeah. I
no,
like
okay,
all the president stuff. Like they're like, hey, Buckaroo, the president's on the phone. Like the president of what? Like he talks to all the presidents, right?
yeah, yeah,
And like when we see the president of the U.S., he's like in traction, and he's like, "Oh yeah, give me the Declaration of War, the short form. Like we got to do this fast." And like, I don't know. I think how everything is treated uh so flippantly because there's other serious things going on. Like everything normal people think are serious is a joke to Buckaroo and the boys, right?
of course.
Because they're dealing with Hana Izan and
Oh, I mean,
the
they've seen
electrodes, the
things the
Planet
average
Ten.
person has never seen.
And that's why I love that Goldblum is the guy is the audience in, where they
Yeah,
explain everything that's going on to him, because that actor, since he first showed up as Thug number 3 in what was it? What is it? Death Wish. I think that's his first movie
Jeff
credit.
Goldblum.
Yeah, he's a racist dickhead in Death Wish.
Oh, nice.
But ever since he showed up, whenever he speaks, even though those lines are written, he presents it as if that character is coming up with whatever he's saying right then on the spot for the first time.
Yeah, that's
But
his acting. Yeah,
that it's amazing though. But I mean, he's been doing that since the beginning,
yeah,
and I don't know how he came about that, but it makes him riveting on screen because the square jaw superhero is always going. Even Peter Weller, who does his best being like, sort of edgy about it, he's still
yeah,
got pearl handled 6 guns,
yeah, yeah,
and his hair slicked back, and he's getting very confident in every scene. But Jeff Goldblum's like 30 Days Have September, and somehow he understands that Orson Welles in New Jersey, the alien landing was real. And you're
yeah.
like, wait, what? But you do follow it all through the show, all through the movie.
Oh,
Like
I loved it.
it's
Like
incredible. I love it.
right in the beginning, when like they're performing surgery and he's there and they're conversing as they're like doing the surgery, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's like, yeah, you should join the band. He's like, well, you guys have an opening, like
Both of them are amazing. He's like, Goldblum does all the anatomy, and then Peter Weller goes, "Yeah, sure, you can look at your anatomy all you want, but this far down in the brain all kind of looks the same." And that's like not a hero thing to say,
right,
you
right,
know? And so then when he says they're still sewing up the guy's fucking brains, it's not like they're setting his broken arm or something.
right.
They're like, which I love, Rawhide too, where he's narrating the ongoing documentary that's always happening about what Buckaroo does.
Yeah,
He's like, you can voice activate it, and it's like, throw the harpoon. This boy's an Eskimo, and people come from all over. Like, that's like really cool. I say that all the time. People come from all over. So Buckaroo. But yeah, so then when Buckaroo asks him to join the Hong Kong Cavaliers, he goes, what does he say? Can you sing? He's like, nah, I can dance a little.
yeah.
Like it
Like, can you
looks like
sing?
he's
And he's like,
just
a little.
thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, freak one. See here, this is what happens. I said Thug number 3. We should really, thank you, Matt, for the correction. We really should
Freak
say
one.
that he was freak number 1 in Death.
How hilarious would it be to the opportunity to get Jeff Goldblum in a small role in a movie, and literally just put his character as Freak One, like in the new.
Oh, you
movie.
mean now?
Now, yeah,
Yeah,
to do it now, like a
like
callback
revisit
to.
freak number 1 and something. He's like,
Yeah,
he's he owns a coffee shop or something, but everybody knows his history with Charles Bronson.
yeah.
Chris brings up a good one too. This is a show you should, if you like. Jeff
Yeah,
Goldblum.
I saw a trailer for that,
Yeah,
and I really liked what I saw in the trailer. And there's so many shows that only got like 1 or 2 seasons. Gina Davis did a sitcom, and I think Bill Maher was in it, and like a couple other people that I recognized, and I was just like, this looks entertaining. Like I would give this a shot. I'd check it out.
Don't do anything except watch North Shore on YouTube. You can't. It's not streaming anywhere, but it's on YouTube. I don't know. I love that show. It's a nighttime.
North
It was a
Shore.
nighttime soap. It was like Love Boat, but it was
Oh, okay.
based in a hotel on the North Shore of Hawaii.
When I think of nighttime soaps, I think back to the USA Network, and I
Yeah,
think of like you had like what Silk Stockings
it's
and,
that level of
and
stuff.
and Pacific Blue.
But
You
dude,
know,
speaking of cast, right? Like Eric's sister is it Adrian Palicki.
yeah.
James Remar. It's Jason Momoa's first show. He's like the cool bartender guy.
Which show is
Um,
this?
it's called North Shore. I'm telling you, there's like
Oh, okay. They were in that show. Okay.
yeah, this is the cast of that show. And then the main girl was Brooke Burns, who was dating Bruce Willis at the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she was like flavor of the month. She was like the taller, slightly older Sydney Sweeney of her day.
Okay, yeah. That name sounds really familiar.
I mean, if you call it up ever or see it, you'll recognize her immediately. There's just everybody in it is famous now, right?
Yeah.
Or like Remar was like trying to get their way back into like good graces after the aliens thing. Anyway, man, I could talk about all the characters. Rawhide's a pretty good character.
Yeah.
Reno
Another
Novara.
guy that I don't see him in a lot of things, but like Clue is like one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
And he played the policeman in Clue. And so he was the father of the kid who played Murtaugh's son.
Right.
You know, so when I saw him, I was like, oh, I recognize this guy. This guy's from Clue. You know,
That's so funny.
I think I think on Facebook just maybe a couple hours ago, you were mentioning was it John Saxon?
Oh yeah, it was just oh my god, that was so funny because I was just trying to think of some weird thing that we had talked about, but I couldn't. So I'm like, I don't know, John Saxon's weird enough. I'll throw that in there.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Marco was like, oh no, Randall knows who John Saxon is. I'm like, okay, cool. That was just like placeholder random thing to be funny.
I could never remember his name, but I always remembered his face. And
Yeah,
what's hilarious was there was this werewolf movie that I remember enjoying as a kid. I rewatched it like maybe a year ago and thought to myself, like, ooh, this is not a good movie. You know, and
when you're a kid.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I loved a lot of the horror movies back in the day, you know, like werewolf movies like Silver Bullet, stuff like that. So this was like, you know, oh, my mom's a werewolf, you know, and John Saxon was in it, and he played the werewolf that bit the mom, and then, you know, she starts turning and
Well, you hated Buckaroo Banzai basically, right?
no, I didn't hate it. I did not hate it. No, God.
You're just like going off, like, here's what my dad did.
I was thinking it'd be hilarious.
John Saxon. Like,
yeah,
what?
no, I think
Watermelon for him, man.
It crossed my mind, like, as a joke, like, what if I told Larry I didn't like the movie? Like, what would he would like just immediately end the show? Like,
no,
goodbye,
not
Randall.
at all. No, we would just have a different kind of conversation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I would,
But no,
I
like,
would probably try to talk you into it. Like if Buckaroo is the kind of movie that if you don't like it,
it can grow on you.
You're just not on its wavelength.
Yeah.
It's like it's the kind of movie that you have to be on its wavelength. And
yeah,
Big Lebowski taught me that lesson in 1999.
Yeah.
I went to go see that and I actively hated it.
Oh, okay.
And then one of my buddies was like, we were talking about it, and he goes, dude, I'm not going to talk you into it, but you didn't see the movie that they made. You saw the movie that you thought you were seeing.
Right.
And I think I'd had just enough beer that made total sense to me.
Yeah.
And that he was saying, you're not appreciating it for what it was. And then he slips me the thing. It's like, dude, that's not about a stoned hippie. It's a detective movie.
Yeah.
Starring the stoned hippie as a detective. And I went,
with also,
oh my God.
With
and
also
literally 3 days later, I went to go see it, and it was like one of my top 5 favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
And it's just more so if you don't like Buckaroo, it's just you haven't got onto its vibe, and nothing will make you like it, right? Like if you don't think use more honey, find out what she knows. If you don't think that's a funny line, you sit there and think like, what does that have to do with anything? They're kind of torturing.
Right. You're overthinking it.
You're not gonna get Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah. No, I was going to say. I was going to say, if I ever start the video with "I'm sorry, Larry," you know, that's when you know. That's like.
Oh no, don't. You don't ever do that. That's bad TV, right? Like you spend about 5 or 10 minutes going, oh yeah, here's the stuff I could kind of take, and then I think, oh good, he's gonna tell me the middle stuff, and then tell me what he likes, and then hit me with a, and here's
Yeah.
that nonsense. Then that'll be a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, check out what Brian said. You know Brian, of course, right? Didn't you
Right.
guys?
Oh, dude, I know,
Didn't you
John.
guys get into a
I,
like Ecto One mobile and save Marco's life one day?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Brian.
Don't
Yeah.
tell that story, but still, John Lithgow, right? I
Right. Right. No, Brian's absolutely right. He should have been mentioned. I love John. I've always been a fan of his, from Harry and the Hendersons to Third Rock from the Sun. You know, he plays great villains, and so I will. Oh, there you go. That was the other thing I was maybe disappointed about. I was hoping to see more John Lithgow in the film. I felt like there wasn't enough of him.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
You know, he's in like a third of the movie, right? He's part of the inciting incident.
I would say maybe he's a quarter of a movie. I wouldn't say he's in the
All right,
third.
well, I haven't done the math, but
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's number 2 on the call sheet, so that's got to count for something.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And
He
but
might have had like the most lines.
he's got pivotal scenes, right?
Totally.
Like, man, everything he says is awesome too, because in the early bits he was just ad-libbing, and Lithgow's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he gets you know the story about where the voice came from, right?
No.
There was an Italian guy that did wardrobe on whatever studio they were shooting.
Yeah.
I think it was Warner's, and he's like, yeah, you know, I always wanted to do like a weird Italian accent, so
Nice.
I don't have to really study. I'll just do my imitation of this guy. And he
Yeah, it
asked
works.
him, and the guy worked with him, and
Yeah.
Lithgow got him a dialogue coach credit in the movie.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I watched it on Tubi too today to see which version you were watching,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I'm kind of used to the commercials, and I've seen that movie a million times, so it doesn't that and Fletch, it doesn't matter. You drop me into that movie anywhere, and I'm good. I'll watch the
Oh,
rest
yeah.
of it. You know. Anyway,
Speaking of which, I thought of you the other day since you mentioned Fletch. I actually bought it digitally, the new Fletch movie. Haven't watched
oh
it
yeah,
yet.
Confess Fletch.
Yeah, yeah. Haven't watched it yet, but I look forward to watching it.
Oh, dude, have you seen the first Fletch?
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
Chevy Chase.
Well, you know what? One of maybe not next week, because we got a lot of movies. But when we can't think of a movie to go through, we should do the Fletch and Confess Fletch
Yeah.
double feature. Moon River. God, that's so funny. Don't get me starting to quoting on Fletch.
It's funny. My brother and my dad used to do that bit, but I never understood it as a kid.
Yeah, of course. Why would you using the whole fist there, eh, Doc? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Lithgow though, everything he said was an ad lib in the beginning. You know, where he's like, "Home is where you wear your hat."
Yeah.
And I want to go home. I feel so broke up. I have to go home. Like all that, you just start talking there. Yeah. Oh my God, shivers. Why don't we just start talking about Fletch? Apparently, everybody wants us to talk about Fletch. Anyway, hey, my kid's home, and the missus.
Nice.
Anyway, oh, I know. Steve wanted me to ask you because we talk about scenes all meaning something every time. If that scene doesn't mean anything, cut it out of the screenplay, right? So when you see a good, people will argue with me about this, but I think Buckaroo Banzai is a Swiss watch of a screenplay. It's not a really expensive Swiss watch of a screenplay, like maybe Inception, like where that's incredible. But you know, and I think Armageddon actually flows pretty good, but this one there's nothing wrong in it, and so. But see, if you take each scene adds up to something cool.
Yeah.
And so Steve's question is, what scene haunts your dreams?
What scene? As in, like, it just terrifies me?
I don't know. However you want to answer that, because Steve means it that way. If you're saying, you know, that scene where Perfect Tommy's got his shirt open and he's not wearing a shirt,
no,
that could haunt your dreams, you know?
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, honestly, the one scene I will say that immediately, like, I'm gonna remember that forever. Is when John Lithgow is yelling at Christopher Lloyd's character, and you see Christopher Lloyd in the alien makeup, and he's behind him, and he just gives him the finger, And I was just like, I love that. I just something about it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought I love Christopher Lloyd, and like I think throughout the whole film, like that was Christopher Lloyd's like one big moment in that film for me.
Yeah. I love that one, but I like when Lithgow shoots him too.
Oh yeah,
because he's like
he keeps getting the name wrong, and it was a Big Booty.
Yeah, Big Booty. He just turns around and shoots him. John the Big Booty. Oh man, that movie. That's a scene later though. That takes place in their thermopod, but like a little after that, because Buckaroo and John Parker are in the little one, right? They're trying to escape with them. And there's a bit where they turn around in their chairs like back to back, and everything looks like the chairs are made out of cardboard and it's been covered with spray foam.
Yeah.
And there's lights and tubes and shit. And it looks like they built that whole set like in 3 hours. And 2 of those hours was waiting for the spray foam to dry.
Yeah.
And it still fucking looks great. I love every single thing about it.
What the thing that caught my attention in the pod, and another thing that I kind of laughed at was there was this picture frame of John Lithgow's character hanging in the pod,
Yeah, stuck in behind all the crap and wires. And,
and
it's like
why does this guy have a freaking picture frame, a picture of himself in there? It's just like
and
hilarious.
The best thing though is that's like one of the glossies they put in the press kit for the movie itself.
Yeah.
So that was like what they took it beforehand, so it was there for the shoot.
Yeah.
But it was so good that they were like, "Hey man, put that in the press kit so people use that." And you see that in magazines everywhere. So it's more. It's even funnier now in 2025 because it's like, oh my god, he took his own glossy from the press kit and put a frame in it. You know what I mean? Super funny. Anyway, Mrs. Johnson, I have on here. John Big. Oh, what's with the watermelon? Do you know that? Do you know
the scene? They pointed that out. What's funny was when I went to finish the movie, I was trying to figure out like, okay, where did I leave off at?
Oh yeah.
I might have rewound back a little too much further, but it was like right at that scene when they're walking by and he's like asking about the watermelon.
Yeah, I just like your real Buckaroo Banzai fans just love that. Yeah, that's like the little secret handshake. Like if you saw somebody in a Green Lantern shirt, you'd be like, "Hey, blackest day, brightest night," and they'd be like,
"Oh, sure,
what's up, man?" But so that's like if somebody says they're a Buckaroo fan or something.
Yeah.
Or you can tell who the Buckaroo fans buy the watermelon in the grocery stores because I did this. I said that to my kid once, and somebody yelled, "Hey, Buckaroo!" But you just go, "Hey, what's that watermelon there for?" And I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
And then they never mention it again. Oh my god, that's how you know real Buckaroo fans. Because if you say that and you get the answer back, it's like.
Would you compare that to in Demolition Man when they talk about the 3 seashells?
Oh, you mean like like an in joke that nerds would know, but he
doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells, and they never explain it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And probably for the same reason, right? They were trying to make it weird. So you just say some weird thing that doesn't mean anything, and then it becomes something to people like us. That's what's cool about pop culture and why I like writing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that I want to tell all the girls in Mean Girls, I guess it is. You can't make fetch happen. You absolutely can make fetch happen.
I've never seen Mean Girls.
About it. What? How do you get like half the memes on the internet then?
Oh, I mean, people just explain it. You know? And I mean that, and I do. I'm a big Tina Fey fan. I love Tina Fey when she was on SNL. I remember when that movie released, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to go see that movie, and I just never.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, right?
Right.
And then it becomes like a pride, like a point of pride. They're like, no,
I
could have seen that movie, but I did
Scarface.
not.
I've never seen Scarface.
Okay.
So like some people,
honestly, I don't think I've seen Scarface either.
Really, with Al
Yeah,
Pacino.
Al Pacino. Yeah, I mean, because I'm old. Like there was a time where like that was on HBO, and I saw that 10,000 times. Like Halloween. I fucking hate horror movies, but like we had HBO. Did I ever tell you this? This is really cool. We had HBO like in the late 70s before everybody else because
Nice.
our little town in Proctor, Vermont was between in this marble valley, right? So uh UHF channels, like broadcast channels that you needed an antenna for, kind of didn't work that great
Okay.
because we were surrounded by rock, you
Yeah.
know? And so whoever, HBO was owned by was like, hey, let's lay some cable from New York City up to, middle of nowhere, Vermont. It was like only like 300 miles.
Yeah.
So, and let's see what these people think, like how their viewing habits change or whatever, And
Yeah.
so it was kind of fucking like, oh my God, we discovered fire. Like there's like
Everyone gathering
TV
around.
channels and there's this special one with no ads. And so, but the early days of HBO, they didn't have rights to a lot of stuff.
All right.
So if they had, they had Halloween, but Halloween was on every night at like 8
Yeah.
for 5 days in a row.
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's just what you watched.
Good old John Carpenter.
That's how
Man.
I got into Rollerball, though. That movie was like I was 11 when that came out.
So I
But
watched.
in
I
the
watched.
early 80s, HBO ran it all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I watched. What's funny is I watched the new Rollerball movie that they made. I think what was
I'm
it, late
really
90s?
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And
That was horrible.
but it made me want to watch the original, but I never got around to watching the original yet.
Well, we'll definitely do a Rollerball episode because then I can wear my Rollerball gear.
Nice.
I know a lot of trivia about the making of that movie, so I could pound
Cool.
that out. What's yeah, man. John McTiernan even directed the new version of Rollerball. And
He directed that?
yeah, and it was just horrible.
Yeah.
And like Chris, what's his name? The lead of that, like that guy, they were trying to make him to like the early Glenn Powell or something, and it just wasn't taken.
Oh yeah, no, they were trying to merge him into like an action roles,
He just had the charisma of an overripe grapefruit. And I was like,
I think there was elements of Keanu that they probably saw in him. He's like, oh, he's just a bigger, buff Keanu. Like maybe we can turn
the audience didn't.
Yeah.
Although Rebecca Romijn is in that, man. That movie is from 2002. And it is 23 years later, and she kind of looks the same, if you ask me.
Oh, she looks fantastic. I saw her last year. I got a selfie with her.
What'd you see with her?
Oh, I was at Fanboy Expo in Orlando.
Oh, at a con. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
The main reason I got a selfie with her was because Jerry O'Connell was there.
Selfie. That's what you said. I got a selfie with her. I didn't hear that operative word in there, and I was making myself laugh.
And but the big motivation to get a picture with her was so I can get a picture with Jerry O'Connell.
Okay.
Because I just think he's hilarious, and he's done a lot of cool stuff, and he wasn't there as a guest. He was just there supporting his wife. So people were getting autographs and lining up with her.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
He was kind enough to be like, yeah, I'll jump in the picture if you want me to. So I got a selfie. I got Rebecca on my left side, Jerry's on my right side, and I jokingly told Rebecca listen, I came here specifically because I wanted a picture with Jerry, but I'm also very happy to meet you. I think you're awesome. Loved you in X-Men. So she was super sweet,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would Star Trek geek out at the both of them.
Oh, totally.
And I would make them tell me the story, about, I forget whose dad it is. I think it's not Dennis Quaid, so it has to be her dad. Is like, or no, maybe it's his grandpa. I don't know. Somebody from Jerry O'Connell. Oh, that's why I said Dennis Quaid. I was thinking of Jack Quaid. Instead of, because I got my two cool guys in Lower Decks mixed up for a second.
Yeah.
Wow, that would make Rebecca Romijn very busy and very Star Trekked out at the end of the day, I would imagine.
Oh, totally.
Anyway, so this makes sense. Jerry O'Connell's dad was bragging on Rebecca Romijn being first officer of the Enterprise. And
Nice.
apparently there was some subway stuff, and he was taking selfies like, "Hey, this is me and my daughter-in-law," and she was doing some press and saying how great it was that she really felt that she was as proud of her as he was of his own son,
No, totally. Yeah, yeah.
And then Jerry was doing the press with her, and he goes, he doesn't say that I'm the fucking first officer of the Cerritos. Like, because it doesn't matter because it's a cartoon, right?
Right, right, right.
I just thought that was super funny.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got that story right. If I didn't, I'm sorry.
Still a good story.
Her dad, his dad, I don't know. One of the dads. It's a good story. Usually, and yeah, this I didn't even. Matt brought this up. I was gonna let it go, but like, seriously, dude.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny was I was originally there to see Dean Cain, and like he dipped out at lunch, so I had some extra money.
Wait, before you get into the story, you went to let's just emphasize you used Rebecca Robier to get a picture of Jerry O'Connell.
Right.
So you obviously haven't seen Femme Fatale, right?
I have not.
Okay, go see that movie and then kick yourself in the head for the rest of your life. Because Rebecca Romijn is a very attractive lady.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
Like that's just
she's stunning. She's very stunning.
She's a great actress too, which you love.
I mean, to go from modeling to like every time whoever was a model to get into acting, they're like, oh, how good of an actor are they going to be?
She's apparently super cool. Because I watch press all the time at lunch because I just think it's cool. And Jennifer Lawrence has this great story that she goes, okay, I'm going to be playing a younger version of you. Is there anything you need to tell me? Is it all on the page? And is there anything to look out for? Because this makeup's going to be a trip.
Yeah.
And she said, make them give you a bodysuit for most of it. And then told this hilarious story about being covered head to toe in appliances and blue makeup.
Yeah.
Is that she was basically, pooping blue food coloring for like 4 days.
Oh yeah.
It would like soak through her skin. The way she told it was like just so friggin' funny that it was like, it's really, I mean, I know that I know this as a beautiful woman. It's really hard to be taken seriously because everybody sees this face first, right?
Sure.
Then, but that girl's earthy. That's a blue collar girl. That's a girl who rolls up her sleeves.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
was pretty funny. I like that story.
When you see her in interviews and just meeting her in person, you get the impression like she's actually kind of humble. She's kind of like laid back and great sense of humor. I think that's why Jerry and her are probably they have a great marriage because like they both understand each other and they both have that sense of humor.
This is about as far away from Buckaroo Banzai as you can get.
Sure, yeah.
Randall's commenting on other people's marriages.
Yeah.
So that will haunt my dream. That will be the scene that haunts my dreams.
Yeah.
All right, we got about 5-10 minutes left, I guess. We got to figure out the next one. So
the next movie.
Walker and I
start typing in your suggestions.
Walker and I wrote down some.
Okay.
So you can just tell me if you've seen these yet. Like you said, you saw Fletch. That was the first one on my list. Have you seen Highlander?
Yep, I've seen Highlander.
Okay. Blade Runner?
I have seen Blade Runner.
Okay. Which version?
Oh.
I'm kidding. Big Trouble in Little China. You've seen that, right?
Definitely.
Grew
up watching that.
Have you heard my pitch for what's going on with Jack Burton now?
No.
It's little Trouble in Big China.
Oh, okay.
He owns a yacht service, and he's stuck in Shanghai, and shit happens.
Yeah.
Outland, you've seen Outland, right, Sean Connery?
Outland, I have not.
Ooh, that's a good one. Have you seen Planet of the Apes, the 1968 one?
The Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Okay. Here's a good one. Not really. It's super culty. Not really a mix with all of these, but that's why it's in there. Have you seen Undercover Brother?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Dave Chappelle fan.
All right, you've seen that. How about Waterworld?
Yep, seen Waterworld.
Warriors? seen the Warriors?
Warriors, I have not seen.
Come out and play. Silver Amazon Women on the Moon. That's a good one.
Oh, I think that's like a spoof, right? Like
It's a spoof, all right. Have
I
you
think like
seen
Robert
it?
Townsend did like a bit, and a few other people. I don't think I've seen it entirely, but I've seen most of it.
Yeah, me too. Well, we'll probably get to that one like in the year 6,
Yeah,
season 6 of this. You've seen Right Stuff, right?
I have not.
Wow. Okay. Oh, now I gotta start keeping track. How about Point Break?
Of course, I'm a
I
Keanu
wrote.
fan.
I was so concerned about Warriors, I wrote it down twice. That's hilarious.
Let me ask you if you've seen this movie where Keanu is not the main star; he's a supporting character. It's called Dream to Believe. Technically, the movie has 2 titles. That's just the title on the DVD. The actress Olivia Diabo. She played the sister to. You remember the Wonder Years?
I do. Yes.
So she played the sister to Kevin.
Okay.
Beautiful blonde. She was also in
Oh, I
Conan the
know Olivia
Destroyer.
Dabo. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
in James Bond's Living Daylights. I think it was right.
So I haven't seen any Roger Moore
Her sister.
Bond
Or
films.
wait, that was Mariam. That was her sister. Her sister Olivia was in Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah, Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
So she's the main character in
A
the
lot
movie.
of talent in the Dabo family in the early
Oh,
80s.
Yeah. And but she's the main character in this movie, and Keanu Reeves kind of plays the high school guy, like the friend becomes boyfriend. And Keanu's got like the best line in that movie. She's being picked on by some girl in school. So Keanu is like noticing what's going on, and he grabs like the tiny carton of milk that everybody drinks at school. He takes a full carton and he puts it on the girl's chair before she sits down. So she sits on it and gets basically milk all over her ass. And she just has like this surprised look, and Keanu turns and looks at her and he's like, "What's wrong? I thought cats liked milk." You know? And it's a stupid line, but like it just cracked me up, like the way he delivered it.
Okay.
This was like before Bill and Ted. This was like really early in his
This
career.
tangent has been brought to you by what? Novocaine. Okay, Tron. You've seen Tron, right?
Yes.
Armageddon?
Are we talking the Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Predator?
Of course, Predator.
Okay, all right. Well, that's cool. Maybe we should I don't think I could find Amazon Woman on the Moon fast enough. We should do Outland.
And yeah, if you can tell me where I can watch it.
Or
You think Tubi might have it?
Yeah, I can tell you right now because the internet is a magical place.
I do like Sean Connery. I watched Medicine Man for the first time
watch Outland
about a week ago.
Well, it's right away. It gives me stuff. I mean, it's on Amazon Prime. Do you have Amazon Prime?
I do not.
What you never mind. We'll do this offline. But yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm sure it's somewhere easily accessible that is actually legal because that movie's from 1983.
Yeah.
Half the people in it are dead now from natural causes. It's like,
oh, I'm sure.
It's probably either on Tubi or Pluto. But yeah, so that's a good one. Unless somebody gives us, we don't have to solve this now.
Sure.
But yeah.
Is anyone making suggestions?
Yeah. Matt said Amazon and Women on the Moon. Sag said Silver Street.
Oh, is that
Simmons.
Gene Wilder?
Yes, and Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, of course.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Silver Streak.
I definitely haven't, even though that was on HBO in the old days, every 5 seconds. You know what else was cool? 2001 was on all the time.
I've never seen 2001.
Okay. Talk about, oh my God, you kids with your pacing issues. Actually, so this DORK COURT thing, we have, you guys know we have a website and I write articles all the time. I think it's either the second or third most viewed article on our website is me losing my fucking mind at the Atlantic's space reporter who bullshit tweeted out into the world that she was going to watch 2001 with her partner, and her boss goes, let's make that an article. And I lost my mind at the unprofessionalism of that.
Yeah.
But then she's the space reporter, and she basically live blogged her article of her experience watching it.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking mid
Yeah.
that I wrote this big thing
Response
about it. So
yeah,
I have a feeling you would think the same thing this girl would about that movie.
no, I like Kubrick's style of directing. I'm aware of his directing style and how he spaces it out. Like I almost finished The Shining, and I think I had like maybe 25 minutes left to watching that movie, and I got interrupted, and then I had to go, and then the goal was always to go back and finish it, and I just never got around to finishing it.
Completely explicable.
Yeah.
2001 though, it goes 23 minutes before there is a human sound.
Yeah.
Like you have to prepare yourself for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know about the music that like.
I'm sure anybody. I mean, there's like a 2001 reference every season on The Simpsons.
Barbie did it.
Barbie, yeah. I was kind of surprised. I loved the trailer, and then I was surprised to see that was actually part of the film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought that there would burn a funny joke like that for the trailer, and I was like, yeah, I enjoyed Barbie. I don't care what people say. That was great.
Fun movie.
All right. Let's call it, man. That's
okay.
it. Buckaroo Banzai, kind of liked it, I guess, huh?
Not kind of liked it. I liked it. I definitely want to see, like I said, the extended cut, like some of the scenes that you mentioned. Like, yeah. I'd love to check that out.
You need like a catchphrase on the end for, like the Siskel and Ebert had thumbs up and thumbs down, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So we're starting, like Randall finally saw Buckaroo Banzai. So you need kind of like a pithy answer when you like it. Like, glad I did, or what took me so long?
Good for me.
That's so neutral. You want it to be like saucy, right?
Oh, saucy.
I like what took me so long.
Okay, yeah. What took me so long?
I kind of like that one because then it's like it's playful and you get that we mean it playfully, and then like Randall hasn't seen this, like the lame-o. And so that, of course, the only way to answer that is like, I know, right? What took me so long? All right. See, that's how creativity happens.
Yeah, collaborative.
Get my offstage crew to trademark that. Let's go take that to the bank. All right, Randall. Thanks very much, man. That was a blast.
Oh, dude, same here, man. Thanks for doing this and getting me that motivation to watch a gem, a classic,
Cool. And then we'll figure it out. Right now, it sounds like Outland's the one to beat, starring Frances McDormand and Sean Connery.
Nice.
In a space version of High Noon.
Okay.
It's fucking great.
I haven't seen High Noon.
It also, you know that, though. That's a pretty famous Western. The stagecoach is coming to town. The assassins are coming to kill the guy.
Is it Clint Eastwood? No?
Gary Cooper.
Oh, okay.
That's it, man. Well, you were probably born in 1983 or something, weren't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why that matters. It's just Gary Cooper. It's pretty famous. Anyway.
Who's the other guy that's really famous? Andy Rooney.
Okay.
Love the. I'm sure you've seen the Dana Carvey.
I have.
Or no. What's the comedian's name from SNL? Is it Dana Carvey?
Yeah.
Yeah. He would always talk about how Mickey Rooney hosted SNL.
Look, Gary Cooper, you asshole. It's a line in Die Hard. How did you?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Even Sag is horrified and embarrassed for you. It's not just...
And but Mickey Rooney would have this story where he was like, I was the biggest star in the world. and he made like a sound effects like the biggest story, like number one or something like that, and like the way Dana Carvey described it was just hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, sounds like Outland's the one to beat.
Yep.
And we'll see everybody later, right?
Awesome.
What took you so long?
What took me so long?